wow, something's wrong. Something's really wrong. So, okay, Oneida County DA is investigating death threats posted on topics. So I wrote, initially I wrote, funny how only the folks who are doing illegal things seem to be upset and attacking other people on topics and offline around Utica and Rome, central New York. What's up with you threatening me? Oh, I've been called a rat. Let's see. Let me see. I put here's my initial post. I hope the DA and you and the police actually do catch and convict everybody who are truly guilty of more than being arrogant and flippant. There's too many real criminal and violent incidences in our area linked to public online personalities, and I hope the DA office will connect and remove the people from topics.com forums. I will direct any leads or information to the proper agency if I feel I understood a comment to be relative to being useful for criminal investigation. For the Utica Rome Topics community, I put get a grip, post number 188. Somebody was talking to me. I'm writing about fathers' rights initiatives. I wrote my story out about. Basically, here's a Utica, New York Fathers' Rights Initiative. Here I go. I was on both sides of this when I had to separate from my son and his mother. When I had to do that back in '98. I was the non-custodial parent who actually had my son most of the time while she was working, and I was disabled and not working. I fought it out and got screwed. Well, this is 2000. And if I wrote disabled, I got disabled 2001 January. Officially getting SSD. So I put here I go. I was on both sides of this, and I had to separate from my son and his mother. I was the non-custodial parent and actually had my son most time while she worked, and I was disabled and I wasn't working. I fought it out and got screwed around with by family court for years and years back then. The mother was getting a personal check from me, then direct payment. She was getting a personal check from me out of my Savings Bank of Utica checking account. I would write her check, paper checks back then, and then later she got the court order because I asked the court in support to go through the collection unit at the social services, child support services. I used to give her all the diapers and everything I could dig up, all the clothes I could dig up through help agencies, charity agencies like Love Inc. and all these other people that were walking around here. Those years, not welfare. I couldn't get welfare. She had welfare on him, not me. I didn't get county welfare. And I gave her the child support money. I used to have to prove I paid her in the checks when it was outside of support collection, and there were times that she didn't say I had arrears because she didn't claim them to be paid. And I had to go get the back checks that I couldn't necessarily produce through Savings Banks of Utica. They wanted to charge me fees for looking into my history. This is over, a year after, or 6 months to a year or so after I paid her. She came back with I didn't pay her. And I had to go prove it, which I didn't prove, and I ended up paying her a couple times, $250 more, than she should have got, things like that. So it was all shady. I'm writing. I was frustrated and upset, and had my son from early morning to early evening. I had him most of his waking hours those years. And even as a lot of the times that she was supposed to have him up to 2003, I was doing that. She was even 2004. I remember summer 2004. She wasn't there when I was supposed to drop him back off on her days, and I only had visitation, but she made herself scarce to be found, and I had him most time. And I wanted my son, and I was not liking her version of mothering, so I paid the price, whatever I had to do. I ended up with losing him through. No, I ended up with her. Yeah, I I wanted my son and was not liking her version of mothering, so I paid the price, whatever I had to do. I ended up with her, losing him through neglect charges, and I got custodial sole custody in 2004. I had to keep paying her child support through SSD, Social Security Disability, who did not respond timely and kept her on as a child support recipient. They told me to take her to court to get the money back, which they didn't give. They didn't give it back. I had my son sole custody and was paying her, who in turn did not pay me the money back or offer any money for me, whatever, ever. She never offered me here, Austin, until the very end. She never, just last year, she never really tried to go face to face with me and eye to eye about this with the money. I always had a fight to get anything out of it. Taking care of my son. So I had my son. Okay, I had to fight it out for over 10 years in family court and child support court. I have been screwed around with by courts and her. I wasn't receiving child support for a few years after she was ordered to pay. For over 3 years, I didn't get child support after she was ordered to pay, and she went absent for 5 years. The court did threaten her when she came back. I took her back to court immediately, and when she came back from being an unknown residency and absent, no contact with us. The court did take her license away, suspension, and driving license, and they threatened her arrest and warrants and things, and they never arrested her. But she never showed up. She never had to show up for anything, and she got away with it. That put actual warrants for her arrest, but she never got arrested or had to pay for past monies owed to me that I did pay her. And when she did get a better job, being absent for years with no known residence, she did not tell anybody and got to spend her state employee income increase without having to pay the difference. She got a state job and she made upwards of $60,000 gross around there, and $60,000, and she spent most of it at the casino and lost her job, and then became destitute and moved in with me after she was granted one day a weekend, one day outside of my apartment visitation when she came back. After she, we tried to work it out when she first showed up in 2008, and this is all personal, but it ended up bad, and then she wanted to fight me for visitation, and she wasn't thinking straight. She was gambling. She was taking off, and she lost her job, and it says I had an appearance in support court last year about this, and the amounts did go up for a short time, but they did. Well, she was still making some money from her job. The child support gave me the increase for the rate of pay, but this is when she was still working for a few months. Then I knew her last year, and what she did is I wrote. Okay, but and when she did get a better job after being absent for years with no known residence, she did not tell anybody and got to spend her state employee income increase without having to pay the difference. I got the increase for a short time in child support, but ended up with not remaining there for long after a few payments because of her going on unemployment. I put confused yet. I basically been taking out loans, going to college and getting school money loans and GI Bill, and scrimping to make ends meet, but still not on welfare in capital letters. We're eligible, but I don't get it. Though my son is eligible, I am about realizing that the way the system works is that the mother gets too many concessions, and the scale is definitely not fair or in the best interest of children. I wrote, the state or county seems to feel that the mother's allowed to run the father out without just cause, just decide to leave him and take the child. The father has to accept it and has to go on with his life and pay for the child. That's how my experience was. I saw it differently and fought in family court and support court with everything I had left to fight as, post-divorced, not working, or whatever. I know my son is deserving of the best that can be done in terms of care and being cared for. He is worth more than 17% that she was fighting not to pay. I pay well over 17% of my income to live with him. I go in debt to take care of him. I read the posts about who benefits from paying and the fathers who are bitching and complaining about paying for the mother to live with your money. I put, hey, fight to know your children. It sounds sad to hear how many people make kids and don't want them enough to take charge of the situation in court and get the right to have them more time. If you don't agree with the way the kids are taken care of by the mother and your child support, and I put in capital letters, the reality is that your kids are yours and they should count more than 17% of what you earn. I guess I'm not going to be popular. Hold on, let me pause this.